Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your December 2019 general readings. We are looking at the first half of December from the 1st through the 15th, and this reading is for the earth sign of Virgo. Again, for the first half of December, the first couple of weeks. This is for Virgo Sun, Virgo Moon, Virgo Rising, if your Venus is in Virgo, or for those of you who are watching for a Virgo, cross-watching for a Virgo. But as many of you know, general readings always resonate a little differently for everyone watching because there's so many of you watching. So watch your other sign videos if you know them, and if you can, it can provide additional clarification. So welcome everyone. I am currently back from all of my travels back in my home base in the United States, at least for a little while. I do like to travel a lot, as many of you know, and thank you for those of you who continue to follow me on my journeys. I do work everywhere I go. And if any of you are interested in reaching out for a personal one-on-one reading with me, you can click on the description link below for more info and contact details. I offer a wide variety of readings in all the main areas of life of all different types and lengths, ranging from 15 minutes up to an hour and a half. I do love relationship compatibility readings, career, work, and finance. And I also do 6 and 12-month overviews, which are particularly popular this time of the year. People order them all different times of the year. But they are, I always get a lot of requests from them at this time of the year as we are transitioning out of an old year and looking ahead to a new year. And the overviews take a look at what's coming in your life over the next 6 or 12 months, depending on how far ahead you want to look. So they're pretty helpful for that. And this is can't talk this morning, as this is one of the biggest gift-giving seasons of the year, probably the biggest gift-giving season of the year, you may want to consider giving the gift of a personal reading to friends, family, and loved ones, because of course there's nothing more personal than a personal reading. It's geared towards the recipient specifically, so something to keep in mind. But send me an email if you're interested, and I would be delighted to set something up with you. All right, let's move into this reading. Let's see what the first half of December has in store for our beloved Virgos. Okay, Virgo. We begin with the Six of Pentacles, followed by the Empress in reverse. We have the King of Cups, followed by the Nine of Wands. And from the bottom of the deck, overall energy and focus for the first half of December is the Eight of Swords. So someone's feeling trapped by some message going on in their heads, an idea, a belief of some kind. Air is the element which governs the suit of swords, and in the tarot, swords represent what goes on up in our heads, mental, cerebral, psychological energy. So the energy of swords is about how we think, our perceptions, our perspectives, belief systems, ideologies, because that is the lens through which we view the world, see the world, people in the world, and communicate outwards. It can also be about learning, truth, higher education, illumination, everything that goes on up in our heads. So the Eight of Swords represents somebody who feels trapped, held hostage, or bound to something because of fill in the blank something. This woman is completely surrounded by swords, which can represent one specific idea or a whole variety of things going on in your head. She's down on her knees, implying some sense of vulnerability or victim state. She is chained at the wrists, and there is a blindfold over her eyes. However, the gaps between these swords are wide enough for her to walk through. The chains which are wrapped around her wrists, all she needs to do is twist her wrists, because they're not connected to anything or anyone, and they could easily come off. She could stand up on her own 2 feet, take the blindfold off, take a look around, and see that her situation is one that she can, in fact, remove herself from. It might take work or effort, and it might be difficult, but this is a card that comes up when somebody feels like they're stuck in a situation, that they can't free themselves from something, when in fact they actually can. What is actually keeping you held hostage in this situation is whatever these swords represent that's going on in your head, some kind of message. You know, for example, if this were a relationship, romantic relationship reading, I can't, leave this relationship or marriage because I've been in it so long, or I love this person, or there's kids, or there's finances, etc. There's always a way. So that's the overall energy and focus for the first half of December. I feel like this is a relationship you are in with someone. And it could be a situation as well, meaning that this could be a romantic love situation, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. It could be a relationship with a friend, a family member. This could be perhaps a toxic or codependent negative relationship at work or with work itself, because it feels like you're only being given crumbs. And that there's actually no forward movement with the situation or new beginning within the situation or relationship, that you're getting just enough to kind of keep you, I want to say, alive, maybe not in the physical sense, but in the emotional sense or perhaps the financial sense, or a combination of all of those, because we have the Six of Pentacles followed by the Empress in reverse. Now, the Six of Pentacles is a card that can represent mutual giving or receiving, being the giver of a gift or the recipient of a gift. It can also represent that whoever is being given to isn't actually viewed as being relevant enough to actually being shown as anything other than a pair of hands grasping. It is sometimes referred to as the crumb card, somebody just giving you crumbs just to keep you, just enough to kind of keep you there or keep you invested in whatever this is. And I don't always or even often kind of get that energy off of this card, but the interesting thing is that I have been lately. There was another reading, I think it might be one of the water signs, that I was directed to kind of interpret this card that way. So it looks like, and you could be on, for those of you watching, it's a general reading, it's always going to resonate a little differently. So you could be on one or the other side of this story. But it looks like someone is being given whatever these pentacles represent. Pentacles is governed by the element of earth, and in the tarot this usually represents the physical or earthly structure of our life and what makes us feel safe, solid, stable, reliable. So pentacles often represents things like money, finance, property, real estate, assets, job, etc. Stable long-term relationships or marriage. The things that make us feel safe and stable in our life are the efforts we put into acquiring those things or those people. So the Six of Pentacles as the crumb card, which is how I'm feeling it here, would represent that perhaps you, Virgo, are in a relationship with somebody who's giving you some pentacles, some stability or the promise of that. But you, as the receiving hands here, you're only a pair of hands. This person isn't actually paying attention directly to who or what or the value of what's being given. It's just enough to keep you, alive, so to speak, or engaged or invested. It's kind of like dangling the proverbial carrot in front of the donkey. Not that you're a donkey, but you understand what I mean. And clarifying it is the Empress in reverse. So I'm feeling this Empress in reverse on a couple of different levels for you, Virgo, and they both make me sad. And so, this is one of those readings that I always hope doesn't resonate with a lot of people, but life is not perfect, and they always can't be, what is that? Some reader said that it can't always be rainbows and Skittles. In fact, it very rarely is on a regular basis, and this is sometimes what happens. We find ourselves connected in relationships to people of all different types of relationships, where one person is investing more than the other, and but being given just enough to keep them there. It's kind of like, sort of a starvation diet. It's not enough you get just enough to keep you alive, but not enough to nourish you, to make you flourish and thrive and grow. And that's what the Empress in the upright position is about. This is about fertility, new beginnings, self-nurturing, feeling beautiful and sensual and, alive and kind of connected to both the material and the spiritual realm as well. And there's a strong connection with self-nurturing and feeling loved and feeling, kind of self-indulgent and just in the fullness of sensuality, whether you're a female or a male. But it's in the reverse here. So on a couple of different levels. One, this represents that for those of you who are in a relationship with someone or a situation where you've been investing a lot, you're only getting a little bit back. It's not enough. It's enough to sort of keep you there, or it has been enough to keep you there up until now, but there's no forward movement. There's no new beginning. There's no new starts or forward movement here. And not only that, but I think keeping you in this situation, choosing to stay in this situation over time, has a way of making a shell out of a person, to where you are so invested in what you give that you actually forget to nurture yourself, and you actually end up losing. It ends up costing you a great deal in self-empowerment and self-love and self-nurturing and feeling as if you are those things. So that's a difficult situation and relationship to be in. And it looks like it's attached to one specific person, showing up here as the King of Cups, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising, showing up as a male but could be a female because this is a general reading. The King of Cups, sometimes called the King of Cool, because kings and queens represent individuals who are at the top of their suit, meaning that they have come to a point of self-control and mastery and balance over the character traits inherent to this suit. This is the King of Cups. Cups is governed by the element of water, and in the tarot, the suit of cups is about our emotional being. Our emotions, our feelings. It's also the area of our life that deals with relationships, because water energy translates into emotional energy. It's very fluid and mercurial. So the King of Cups, sometimes called the King of Cool, because he's often, perhaps not in the Gilded Tarot deck here, but he's often shown as sitting on his throne in the midst of a body of water, on top of the body of water, which represents the ocean of emotion. But he's sitting on top of the water, very cool, calm, collected, even if the water around him is very choppy. So this is somebody who may be intuitive about his own emotions and the emotions of people around him, but he doesn't often let on. This is somebody who has great self-control over his own emotions, and maybe, even though he can be also quite nurturing, he can also be, may keep people guessing in terms of what is really going on inside of him emotionally, because he has such great self-control over his emotions. You know, in the reverse position, the King of Cups would be kind of emotionally manipulative. Now, what's clarifying him is the Nine of Wands. So we have fire energy here. You have swords, pentacles, cups, and wands. So you have one of each elemental energy here. So in terms of what type of relationship, I mean, it's going to vary because this is a general reading. So some of you, it might be a love romance, it might be familial, it might be friendship, it might be something to do with work as well. You know, maybe you're doing a lot, investing a lot, working overtime, you're just not getting anything back except promises, you know, lip service. The Nine of Wands represents feeling like you're almost at the end of your rope, because tens represent completion here, and the Nine of Wands is one of those cards that can represent, you know, feeling you're very actually close to the end of a cycle here, because we're already at the 9, but it can represent feeling tired, worn out, discouraged. You know, how can I get through this? Should I get through this? I've already been through a number of battles already, and I'm tired. I want to be done. Feeling like perhaps you should give up. Often this card represents pushing through to the end, because the end, or some kind of culmination or completion, is right around the corner, represented by a 10, and we're at the 9 here, feeling kind of discouraged. And sometimes this can represent that you need to push through with whatever it is you're having a struggle with, because there will be a successful conclusion. And sometimes it just means that a very challenging or painful or difficult or wrong situation is nearing its conclusion, where you can just be free of it and walk away. But you're kind of at this sort of crossroadsy sort of energy here, Virgo, where you feel kind of like you're trapped and held hostage because you can't leave for some reason, but you're just about at the end of giving up or calling this done. And what you feel trapped or bound by is going to vary. Often in these types of relationships or situation, when one person is investing a lot to their own detriment, they're depleting themselves to give to somebody else who isn't giving back. So the well never gets replenished, and you can't drink from it either. We over time develop these messages that, well, I've put a lot of time into this, and if I leave, then it means that all that time was for nothing. It's never nothing. It's never worth nothing. It's always contributing to the greater good of karma, and it always is valuable and teaching us lessons in how to perhaps in the future be a little wiser about who and where we choose to give to, because we do in relationships of all different kinds, including with money, with house, with work, with people. It needs to have some sense of symbiosis, because if there's an imbalance in giving and receiving, someone eventually is going to get burned out. And that's what it looks like is happening here. And whatever messages you're telling yourself, I can't get out of this, they're false. Meaning that there may be validity in your concerns, but there's that saying, don't stay in a mistake just because you took a long time making it. You don't need to. You can leave. You are not trapped or held hostage. I'm going to clarify this first kind of few cards. 8 of Swords, 6 of Pentacles, Empress in reverse. See if we can get just a little more insight about it. The 5 of Pentacles and the 3 of Pentacles in reverse. So yeah, the 5 of Pentacles is feeling shut out. On an emotional level, it can represent feeling shut out, abandoned, rejected, not good enough, always feeling like you're on the outside. On a financial level, it can represent financial insufficiency and lack. It represents that something isn't enough, so it leaves you feeling homeless, hungry, needy, thirsty, etc. And the 3 of Pentacles in the reverse. In the upright, it's the partnership, teamwork, collaboration, working towards a common goal, working together. But in the reverse, there is no teamwork, there is no collaboration, there is no everyone contributing their own to make something, to build something healthy and beautiful. So yeah, it's an imbalanced relationship. Let's take a look at, let's pull an advice card for you, Virgo. And it may be that this may be a relationship that has to end, or you need to take a step away from it in order for it to transform. Sometimes it means that stepping away will be the thing that transforms it. And sometimes it just means that you need to leave it. The 9 of Pentacles is your advice. This is a card of independence, self-sufficiency, self-empowerment. Taking care of yourself, working hard to take care of yourself, and knowing that you can take care of yourself on your own, that you don't need anything from anybody unless you choose to be with them, and you're picky and choosy about that because you have value. You've worked hard to be where you are and who you are, and you're not going to allow anyone into your life that takes advantage or depletes from you without giving back. It's sometimes been referred to as, the happy, single, successful female or male card. But it doesn't necessarily mean that this person is single or has to be, but if they are and they want to be with someone, they'll take their time because they're really great with who they are. They love who they are, where they are, how hard they've worked to get there, where they're headed in the future. It's a card of self-empowerment and self-nurturing and knowing that you can take care of yourself just fine. So for some of you, as advice, this can mean a couple of different things. This can mean just separating from the other person or situation and going your own way and kind of completely cutting it off quite soon, because you need to take care of yourself, or just focusing on taking care of yourself, and not investing what you have been investing because you're not getting an equitable amount back. So you need to stop putting in the areas that you're not getting back from or getting back enough. And this, for some of you, may mean, stopping the help or support or the work that you've been putting into this relationship or situation until the other person or parties realizes that they need to step up or they're going to lose you. Or it can, for some of you, it may mean that you just need to walk away from this situation, regardless of whether it's temporary or permanent. But at least for the time being, at least for the first half of December, the advice from Spirit is to leave and go your own way, because you need to kind of get back to your own self, your own value, your own beauty, and being taken care of. If you're in a relationship with someone or a situation or a job or a person or whatever that you're giving to that isn't getting back, if you're going to like feel so alone so much of the time, then you might as well actually be alone, because at least there is the promise and potential opportunities for you to find a person or a situation that is more balanced and healthy than actually being in one that leaves you feeling so hungry and so alone or so wanting or so insufficient. So you kind of need to get back to that. So Virgo, that is your reading for the first half of December. I don't know if it's been such an enjoyable one, because it looks like a difficult situation, and you know, in the holiday season too, which can often be challenging just on its own. But I hope that it's, you know, been enlightening. If you are interested in reaching out for a personal one-on-one reading, particularly if any of these videos resonate for you, just click on the description link below. Email me directly at maggie1mcguire@gmail.com. I do readings full-time, 5 to 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week. It's all that I do, all that I love to do. So I'm pretty diligent at working with people's schedules and my own to get readings out in as timely a fashion as possible. So shoot me an email and I'd be happy to set something up for you. I'll see you all again in a couple of weeks for the December mid-month readings. I hope everyone has a wonderful and blessed holiday season, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.